Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls gets an update, Ori developer Moon Studios chooses PlayStation over Xbox, and Ghost of Yotei gets an update as well. All that and more in today's video. Please like the video, subscribe to never miss a gaming update, and share the video to help grow our community. We'll also be going over comment of the day. Be sure to leave a comment as you could be featured in the next video. Now let's talk about this Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls update, which comes straight from the PlayStation blog, so it's as official gets. And this is written by Reed Baird, the senior producer at XDev PlayStation Studios, and says, on behalf of the teams at PlayStation, XDev, Arc System Works, and Marvel Games, it is our pleasure to announce that very first playable experience for Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls will be at EVO Las Vegas 2025 at the Arc System Works booth. Attendees will be able to duke it out with their friends and construct their very own 4-character team from a roster of 6 playable Marvel legends, including Captain America, Iron Man, Storm, Star-Lord, Ms. Marvel, and of course, Doctor Doom. All players who step into the ring will also walk away with an amazing collectible pin based on our fighting souls. You won't want to miss it. In addition, we are thrilled to be hosting a developer combat panel with key members of the Arc System Works and Marvel Games development teams, taking place on Friday, August 1st at 8 p.m. PT on the EVO Showcase stage. We'll be shedding new light on the core gameplay mechanics, so we really hope to see you there. And if you aren't able to make it there, they'll also be streaming it over on youtube.com/@EVO events. So this is exciting even if you don't show up to EVO, as you'll be able to see this panel and how it plays out. And I'm sure we're going to get a lot more footage as well coming out to the public, especially when you consider that this will be in public hands to some degree. And so here we are. We've got this game, Marvel Fighting Souls, that is coming next year. It is due 2026. It looks very awesome. It's highly anticipated, especially amongst the fighting game community, and I personally am really looking forward to it. Arc System Works has proven themselves over and over again to be a very competent studio when it comes to making fighting games, and this is definitely going to be no exception. This game is going to really land with the fighting game community, and while I may not be an EVO contender, I really love fighters, and I've been playing them since I was a young kid, back on Street Fighter 2 on the SNES, and so obviously you can expect that I'm going to be playing this as well when it does drop. Super exciting news. I actually do want to get my hands on this eventually whenever it does become available for us. Let me know what you guys are thinking of this game. Are you excited for it? Will you be tuning in to the live panel? And will you be buying this game come launch day? Let me know down below. Now, next we're talking about Moon Studios, because they had a lot to say regarding their next game that is in early access currently over on Steam, and it is planned for Sony and Nintendo consoles. However, in a message posted to Discord, Moon Studios CEO Thomas Mahler went to Discord to say that market conditions meant that an Xbox version is at the back of the queue. In quotes, by the way, given current market conditions, we might only release on PS5 and potentially Switch 2 for the time being. We'll have to discuss things with Microsoft and see what makes sense for Xbox. And of course, people took this to be like this thing where they're trying to get money out of Game Pass. They're trying to get money out of Microsoft. They want a Game Pass deal. That's what they want because games don't sell. And of course, well, a Game Pass deal would give them the maximum profits from that platform. Well, he had something to say about this because it obviously bothered him. And he says, folks, can we drop the conspiracy theory insanity? If NeoGAF becomes more and more like the Purple Forum, don't be surprised if people stop posting here as well. So no, it is not a shakedown. It's called common effing sense. What our community has been wanting the most is co-op and console support, so we want to fulfill those wishes as soon as humanly possible. We're already hard at work on co-op, so people can play Wicked in multiplayer pretty soon. And after that, the idea is that we'll release 1.0 sooner than initially expected so that we don't have to deal with the hassle of being an early access game on consoles. Wicked is already in a pretty great state, so by the time we exit early access, we will be golden. So really just hammering home, guys, this is not about Game Pass. This is not about a Game Pass deal. He goes on to say, and in order to get there fast, we'll first support the platform that has the most users purely out of resource reasons. We're a comparatively small indie studio, so doing a console port at the quality level we want is not a small task. Porting to Xbox means porting to the Xbox Series X and Series S, and that'll take more time to optimize compared to porting to PS5 and PS5 Pro, so we're most likely going to do PS5, PS5 Pro first, and launch there in order to make fans happy and supply other ports later. That's literally all there is to it, and yes, we'll need to discuss with Xbox and Nintendo what the best strategies are to support their platforms and their features in the best way possible, and that'll be an ongoing discussion. So really just solidifying here that it's common sense. You want to port your game to the biggest user base, which is PlayStation as far as console goes, and that is where they want to put their game. I feel like that's pretty obvious. I feel like there's nothing more to it than just that, and PS5, PS5 Pro is the way to go for now. And then eventually you go to the next most populated platform, and then you go to the next most populated platform. That's just how it goes, and I think that it makes a lot of sense. PS5, PS5 Pro, probably Switch 2, and then we'll see them eventually go to Xbox as well. They themselves are saying that Xbox is last in queue. So again, guys, we got to really think about what's being said here, right? A lot of us already know this. A lot of us already understand this. This is not news to a lot of us, I'll say, because we know the smallest user base is the Xbox platform. I know Switch 2 just launched, so that's another thing in itself. It's still a fresh console. Technically speaking, the smallest user base right now, but it's rapidly growing because it's brand new. Xbox, on the other hand, known for not really having a community that buys games, and they mostly are relying on Game Pass. So obviously they would be last on the list. So again, just a thing that we all have been talking about for a while, and we all understand, and it's not anything shocking and revolutionary. But of course, sometimes it has to be said louder for those that need it said and clarified in a very, very clear, undeniable way, right? Naturally, there will still be those people who still believe what they want to believe, but the dev here has come out and said what they want to say. In my opinion, it makes a lot of sense. What do you think of this update? Do you think that more developers are really looking at it this way, maybe deciding to put Xbox last on the back burner, and maybe looking at PlayStation as the first platform to drop their games on? Let me know down below. Next, we're going to be talking about Ghost of Yotei. In a recent interview with Video Games Chronicle, Sucker Punch revealed that Ghost of Yotei will feature a similar length to its highly successful predecessor. It'll be around 25 hours. According to the developers, it will be more varied though. In quotes, co-director Jason Connell said, "As the creators of the last game, we played a ton of it as we went to create a new game, and we decided it was going to be set in Hokkaido. It only seemed fitting to also increase the way that we think about the freedom of the game. What does it feel like to explore? What are your options? How do we feed you your next objective?" To us, it really felt like an evolutionary step for us to be able to think about what freedom means to the player and to allow some new ways in which you might uncover something that's interesting for you. Then Nate Fox added, "The thing that Jason and I love the most is that moment when you are on your horse and you are looking at this big, beautiful landscape, and maybe the wind is telling you if you would like to continue the story, go that way. But you see something out of the corner of your eye that catches your curiosity and you say, you know what, I'm gonna go check that out. That moment where the game's not telling you really about where to go or what to do, it's you. That's the most beautiful thing about open world games." And something that I've noticed about Ghost of Yotei is this focus on really nurturing this world that they're building, right? And making it an experience, right? So it's not just this narrative-driven game where you're going from objective to objective, but it's more about exploration in ways that I felt Tears of the Kingdom was, Breath of the Wild was, Elden Ring was, where you really just wanted to go out there and explore. And they've mentioned that it will be more varied than Ghost of Tsushima, which I think is a very positive note. For me personally, I love Ghost of Tsushima, and for Ghost of Yotei to really double down on that and also be more varied in that sense and create this world that a lot of games don't tend to do, where they just try to tell their narrative story, they're focusing on really nurturing this open world and creating objectives and varied activities that you can do to make you feel like you're truly in there. A game that really made me feel that way in the past was also Red Dead Redemption 2, where you really just were taking your time with this game. It was a slow-paced game, but you really took in that environment, took in the characters, the setting. And that's how I feel Ghost of Yotei is going to be as well, in a sense. And I think that's a good thing. So everything I'm hearing about Ghost of Yotei gets me excited, makes me happy, and makes me want to play this game day one, more importantly. So really excited to see what comes of this game. But I also want to ask you guys, what do you think of these updates? As far as the length of the game, the varied content, the focus on really creating an immersive experience of different things you can do and exploring and wanting to explore. Do you like that in video games? Do you want that in video games? Or do you really like a linear experience? Let me know down below. Now, lastly, we're going to be talking about comment of the day. And this comes from @KristenChev9762. There's quite a bit said here. From what I've heard, this Detective Seeds guy is hit and miss, so I wouldn't go into it too much. It is true, you know, Detective Seeds has been accurate in some instances and not so much on other instances. So no foul there. Next, he says, second, how can you achieve a 4K 60 FPS upscaled when you couldn't reach a 60 FPS on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth being pure exclusive? To address this comment, yes, it actually was 60 FPS with PSSR, and it was achieved with the original entry-level PSSR. So when we're talking about next year, when they drop that update that they've talked about, yeah, it's going to be even better than what you expected with Rebirth. So I think that's a little bit inaccurate as far as information goes. Rebirth on PS5 Pro runs at 60 FPS, and it also runs at some sort of upscaled 4K. So definitely achievable as far as that goes with Final Fantasy, and it is achieved. Third, he says the game will sell a lot due to microtransactions and online, but I still don't think it will move a lot of PS5s, Xbox consoles. But let's say it's a 4K 60 FPS upscaled on the Pro, still not many PS5 users will have it or will go and buy it considering its price tag. So I think that, you know, number one, it's an obvious thing for me personally that they are going to utilize the power of the PS5 Pro. I think PlayStation's going to make sure that happens. And how are they going to make sure that happens? By sending their devs over. They've done it before with other games. They will most certainly do it with Grand Theft Auto 6. No doubt in my mind that they will do that. I don't need Detective Seeds to tell me that. I don't need any other leaker to tell me that. It's just common sense. I do think that it will absolutely move units. Grand Theft Auto 6 will move PS5s, it will move Xboxes, but most importantly, it's going to move PS5s being the biggest install base here and the most popular platform. And I think that people will go out and buy a PS5 Pro if they see a bundle with Grand Theft Auto 6. And I think even in the case of not seeing a bundle with the Grand Theft Auto 6, that they will go out and buy this. As long as the consumer knows that this game is going to perform best on PlayStation 5 Pro, they will sell units. And I think just in itself, Grand Theft Auto is a behemoth and will absolutely give a massive boost to console sales in general. Not even just saying PS5s, but Xbox everywhere. Anywhere that's going to have this game is going to boost sales. And I think that there's no doubt in my mind with how big Grand Theft Auto is. I actually think this is pretty well common sense in my opinion. But I also think that the price tag is not as big a deal as a lot of people think. People spend a lot of money on hobbies and things that they enjoy, whether it be phones, entertainment, video games, shoes, whatever it may be. People spend a ton of money on this kind of stuff that they are passionate about. And video games is no different. So while me or you or the next guy might not like the price of a PS5 Pro or the price of games, they're still selling. Look at Switch 2, look at Switch games. It doesn't matter. People are still buying it because they are in love with the medium, they are in love with the products and the games. So at the end of the day, I feel like regardless of how we look at it, how we twist things, these things are all going to happen. I don't see this as a surprise. But I felt like I had to address this comment because there was some misinformation here, and I also felt like there was some doubt as far as the impact of Grand Theft Auto, which is definitely a really big game that I think is undeniably going to be a system seller. Let me know down below what you guys think of this. Do you think GTA 6 will hit a 4K 60 on PS5 Pro? Do you think that GTA 6 will move units? As always, if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, subscribe. If you're new to the channel, we are trying to hit 20K by the end of this year. I really appreciate all of you who do that. Please also consider sharing the video as it brings more awareness to our community. I thank you all for watching. Take care.